Presented to you by Man-Handled Camera Productions. The Sanyo MR-210 reel-to-reel tape recorder. Portable.
Yeah, I'm a jack.
Ugh. That was a failure. I am making a recording in the Sanyo today's August 29th, 2019 AD on the Gregorian calendar. This recorder boasts automatic level control only. No manual, just automatic level control. This particular recorder is also AC bias. Very nice, good sound quality, and also 2 speeds. It has 3 3/4 inches per second, as well as 1 7/8 inches per second, switchable by a capstan sleeve.
Now, to talk normally, this is a reel-to-reel tape recorder.
1 7/8 inches per second, 3 3/4 inches per second. Playback will show how it records music as well as voice. Recording in the Sanyo today's August 29th, 2019 AD on the Gregorian calendar. This recorder boasts automatic level control only. No manual, just automatic level control. This particular recorder is also AC bias. Very nice, good sound quality, and also 2 speeds. It has 3 3/4 inches per second, as well as 1 7/8 inches per second, switchable by a capstan sleeve.
Now, to talk normally, this is a reel-to-reel tape recorder. Now, unfortunately, the air conditioner is running in the background. I know, it's so horrible. So this is a little Sanyo. This Sanyo was a gift from Amberola1B on YouTube. And this Sanyo uses 8 transistors. It's also basically an international voltage machine, switchable between AC 115 volts and AC 230 volts. And I imagine if it's set to AC 115 volts, it would probably run fine on Japan's 100 volts as well. Anyway, it's a nice little reel-to-reel tape recorder, and I just had to replace a couple of leaky capacitors. It was working when I got it, but the recording strength was a little bit weaker than I figured it should have been, So I was thinking there's probably some bad caps, and I'd used the ESR meter, and sure enough, there was a couple of bad caps. One really bad cap, I think, in there. So I replaced those capacitors, and it resulted in an improvement of the amplifier's operation. Unfortunately, when you change a speed, it does not change your equalization. It's just a basic cap stand sleeve type speed change. So you're running at 1 7/8. The sound quality is all right, but it isn't as good as it could be because it doesn't change the equalization. But let's change the speed to 1 7/8. Now the recorder is running at 1 7/8 inches per second. Now these recordings are being made using the original Sanyo dynamic microphone, model HM8, which is a 200 ohm dynamic mic. The sound quality has a certain way to it with this mic. We're going to compare the sound quality of the original Sanyo dynamic microphone with the sound quality of the Sony F96 to see which one sounds better. So let's switch now. Now the Sony F96 microphone is being used to make this recording. So you should notice a difference in sound quality. And anyway, the Sony F96 I think is a 150 ohm impedance microphone. So similar to the original microphone in impedance. Anyway, Sanyo tape recorder, though I only have 3-inch reels loaded, this machine will accept up to 3.5-inch reels. A 3.5-inch reel-to-reel tape recorder, cap stand drive, of course. Most of the space of the recorder, the recorder's amount of space it takes up is basically around the reels, but the area where it says Sanyo underneath is just the area for the batteries, although it does contain an oval speaker. Anyway,
What I mean by that is, look at the inside of this tape recorder here. The interesting thing about this recorder is while most recorders have several screws on the back, and to take the whole thing apart, and then there's a battery compartment cover that gets removed to change the batteries. This one's done very differently. Now I don't know if it's more of an international thing. I don't know if it's UL not wanting things to be done this way, so it's not done that way in America, because I don't know. I'm assuming this one might have been sold elsewhere because it's international voltage, and you had Sanyo branded items, but a lot of times Sanyo stuff ended up being called Craig or Channel Master and stuff like that. But open this up. Okay, whatever. The whole back comes off, and it gives you the schematic. Not only does it give you the schematic, the whole back comes off. Whenever you want to change the batteries, you take the whole back off, allowing you access to the circuit board, the motor, and even the power transformer. And this is a voltage selector switch. This one even has a speed regulation board here, complete with a trimmer to fine-tune the speed, which is a bit unusual on portable reel-to-reel tape recorders. Typically, speed boards like this seem to be more common on cassette recorders than reel-to-reel machines. So to see a speed regulator board on this machine is very nice. If I wanted to, I could actually take this trimmer and put a full-size pot in place of it and give this machine pitch control. It also gives you access to the fuse. You can see with the drive system is the type that uses a sideways motor, and then the flywheel has rubber coated on it, and then the motor pushes up against the flywheel to drive the system. Thankfully, the motor is moved away from the flywheel when it's in stop position so you don't develop a flat spot. And the circuit board is actually quite small for a reel-to-reel recorder like this. It's quite compact, yet it is AC bias. You can tell it's AC bias just by looking at the board, because you see down right in the middle of the screen there's a high frequency type transformer in there, which is a telltale sign of AC bias, because most times a bias oscillator is going to incorporate some kind of high frequency transformers, not to be confused with the lower frequency, the audio frequency transformers, the yellow and the blue transformers there. Those are just audio frequency input and output transformers. You can even see this black capacitor here was one of the new ones I put in, and then there's another new one in there as well. Thankfully they were right at the edge of the board, easy to get to. I didn't even have to take the circuit board out of the recorder. It was that easy. So yes, very nice old reel-to-reel tape recorder. The mechanics, although this thing here is plastic, which just goes for these switches here, most of the mechanics are solid metal construction, which is always good to see. And then, as I was explaining earlier in the recording, the reel-to-reel tape recorder section is just this. The machine technically could have been made a lot smaller aside from the power source. The batteries take up this whole section of the recorder, except the oval speaker does bleed through a little bit, probably around to here. So anyway, just an interesting thing to notice with this recorder. Of course, it does use an Alnico magnet, which is always nice. I decided to go tripodless this time with this video and kind of do an old school shooting style. You know, what I mean by that is harkening back to the days whenever I didn't use a tripod. I just kind of grabbed my camera and started shooting. I just decided that's how I'm going to do this video. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this presentation on the Sanyo MR-210 reel-to-reel tape recorder. There will be more to come in the future, because there are several machines that have not been demonstrated yet that will be demonstrated in the future. I don't know when in the future, but it'll be in the future. I want to make one final note. The radio input is low impedance. It goes across an 8.2 or something like that resistor, 8.2 ohm resistor. This radio input is made with the intention of hooking up directly to the speaker output of an amplifier. Because the impedance is so low, when I plug the line output of my stereo into that input, it practically shorts it out and brings the audio down to nothing. So just keep that in mind if you ever get one of these recorders. If you want to record off regular line level signal, it's probably better to hook up an attenuator to the mic input. But you can hook it directly off a speaker output of an amplifier onto the radio jack. It's designed that way. This has been a Cassette Master production.
This has been a Cassette Master production.